This program's about finding significance. And Jim Riefenberger joins me. Jim, I just need to share this really fascinating conversation I had with a pastor named Randy Anderson. I was meeting a guy. I was meeting a guy, reading a book together on Wednesday noons, and we would meet at the Burger King. And right after I got my food, a bus came, and that busload of kids came into that place, and I watched the manager of that Burger King. His name is Phil. I watched Phil run those kids through that line with his team. And after lunch, I mean, they were gone already, and things had calmed down a little bit because that guy and I talked, beyond the lunch hour for a little bit. And I went up to him and I said, hey, I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm Randy Anderson. He said, your name? He says, Phil. I said, Phil, I just want to tell you what I just watched you do. I mean, I don't really know that I've ever seen anybody in any field do their job better than I just watched you do that. I Mm.
Mm.
Hmm.
said, that was absolutely amazing. When he thanked me, he said, thank you. And over the next year, I probably got 40 free fries out of that. Every time I came in, he gave me, I mean, he remembered that. He never forgot that as long
Now,
as he
that
was there.
wasn't the reason you did it, though. That
No, I
wasn't.
didn't even think about that. I mean, I was just, I really was. I was just, because he did it with a sense of joy and everything. Well, then he shares with me. He goes, he says, one of the best things that ever happened to me is somebody taught me the value of work and the value of joy in work. And he said, in my work here, I get to be the first job that a lot of young people have, and I have the opportunity to teach them the the significance of work, the joy of work, and that it's important to throw yourself into what you do. He said, and that's what I try to do.
I would say from all the funerals I've performed over time, the number one emotion I see is regret, which is the saddest because it's so preventable. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk to you about that because, all of these attributes, all of these things about prosperity have certain attributes. Money is sticky, health is slippery, relationships are prickly, purpose is murky. And, most Americans, especially guys, don't really like to talk about murky things. So thank you for giving some light in that regard.
Well, my pleasure. It's always good talking to you, Jeff.
Ironically, Jeff, you shared about a 2 minute clip of Randy. I don't know Randy. In 2 minutes, I can see the passion, the impact, the significance in him easily, without question, because he's followed the path and he went for it. That's what's hard for us. People tell me all the time, Jeff, that's all I know is this. Things are interconnected. The struggle is really important. And the struggle just means that you're wrestling and building your muscles like a butterfly in a cocoon before it can fly. So you have to work through that struggle and know that there is purpose in it. Almost like a breath that says, I guess this is what I'm going to go do, and you don't look back.
So I'm picturing your average person who's maybe listening to this, who's saying, I don't know, I'm disillusioned with my job. I just, all of a sudden, I don't want to do it. And they think it's like worker burnout, or they think it's, maybe a bad environment. But maybe they're being called to something different that is related. They just don't know yet how it's related. In your experience, and you've done this a lot with a lot of different people, is there a time limit on finding that?
There's no time limit. And it's built like dots or in stages. I'm just going to use the metaphor because I was recently reading in a book about a fiction story about King David in this sense. But say he was sitting with us and he explained his nature of self-discipline. he says it wasn't like I just went out with 5 rocks in this little sack and knocked down Goliath. I had thousands or 10 thousands of reps shooting at a tree, at a bush. No, I was practicing with the rocks, which was the work, and practice is no fun, but I realized my want in it was I was practicing it to be a better sharpshooter, to be a better hunter. But then God moved him from hunter to slayer to king. He had no idea. But that's what's exciting is like you don't necessarily need to know, but isn't it exciting to know that you could be just slinging a rock and then all of a sudden this changes and the platform changes and you're finding significance.
And you may not be the David. You may be the guy 4 steps down and 4 steps over who helps David become David, but it still is significant, right?
Somebody planted a seed and someone did the work and then someone carried it on. And to me, I think that's kind of what we get in heaven some days. We get to see how it all got interchanged and interconnected. And that's kind of like significance times 1,000, right? Like it's not just mine, it's everybody's.
Anybody can have a life of true significance and purpose. So I'll leave it with that, just to say that if you're struggling and wondering what that looks like for you, you're listening to the right program, you're watching the right program. If you have any questions for where you are at in the world, please send us a message. We're happy to talk about it because, after all, this is how we find significance by helping you find your significance. So until we talk, I'm Jeff Gould.
I'm Jim Riefenberger.
God bless.